You must ignore your fear. When you're afraid, you can't act. You can't act. You can't defend. You can't defend. You die. Here's your look at McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse, the McFarlane Collector Edition Sinestro Corps War, Sinestro. Hailing from the planet Korugar, Sinestro once served as Green Lantern of Sector 1417, recognized among the Green Lantern Corps for his ability to police his sector. However, Sinestro's determination to preserve order caused him to act more as a dictator than protector. When new recruit Hal Jordan learned of Sinestro's methods, the Guardians ejected Sinestro from the Corps. Harnessing the yellow energy of fear, Sinestro formed the Sinestro Corps, not only to combat the Guardians whom he sees as his main obstacle on the path to intergalactic peace, but also to strengthen the Green Lantern Corps. What first started with power that went straight to his head was quickly replaced with fear instead. Of course, before we get a closer look, a little rhyme before we start things off. Of course, we get a closer look at the Sinestro Corps Sinestro. Let's grab the tape measure and see how tall the figure stands. And while I'm doing this, I'd like to thank the folks over at McFarlane Toys that did provide this sample of Sinestro that we can have a look at this review. The figure, though, stands almost 7 inches in height. It's about 6 3/4 of that. Or the figure's going to be about 17 centimeters tall. While still not knowing the whereabouts of my Hal Jordan. Seriously, my Hal Jordan has disappeared. I wonder if my daughter has it. But what I do, though, have is John Stewart. Always my go-to when it comes to Green Lantern comparisons. You can see that Sinestro, though, while sharing a similar height of body, I know it's a completely retooled body, completely different body altogether, they're about the same height, although Sinestro's hair does give him a little higher reach over John Stewart. Also as well, and while I don't have Alan Scott, though, I do have the next best thing, one that has flames coming out of his eyes. Here's what the figure looks like with the DC Multiverse Dread Lantern. This was also a gold label release. Shall we all have a look at the accessories that come included with Sinestro? Excellent. First, the figure comes included with a display stand. You may notice something a little bit off, a little bit different this time around when it comes to the stand itself. No, the circular shape is still the same. It still has one off peg there. But what's really different is the fact that they actually printed the DC logo instead of normally the dark black that just blends into the plastic. This time they actually painted in a really nice silver. You know, while this is being under the banner of the McFarlane Collector Edition, both this one and a full yellow Sinestro Corps Sinestro we will be looking at an upcoming review, I gotta say, this should be something that would be moving forward a better idea when it comes to the display stands. I just think the silver pops a lot nicer. I'm going to move that to the side. The figure also as well comes include that podium standee. We've gotten this actually several times. This has the still DC logo printed on the front, a matching somewhat silver to what we get here on the smaller stand. But this one also now houses a Sinestro Corps card. Now this one actually does have Sinestro Corps Sinestro with his full attire in yellow, although the one that we're actually getting here in the figure is the green that's being transformed into Sinestro Corps. One thing I really like about the card is it's printed on the side in silver. It's also slightly embossed as well. On the back of the card, though, you've got this all additional silver that's added on top. That looks glorious. It does say, once again, that Sinestro from Sinestro Corps War, the data file. And again, the read-up is just simply the read-up I read at the beginning of this review. This just slides in place. There's little slots on either side, and just simply take the card and slide it in place. I always like the look of these. I always like to display them along with the figure. What you could also display along with the figure, though, are the starting points for what will be Sinestro Corps Sinestro. First, what you get yourself a yellow lantern. I like the look of the yellow lantern, and I like also the construct that we're about to have a look at. My thing, though, about this being Sinestro still in somewhat green is I would have probably just ran with that idea and just kept them all a green Sinestro, because of course we are getting a yellow version of Sinestro under the same McFarlane Collector Edition banner. I would have just kept all of these ingredients as ingredients to be included with that Sinestro, because it seems to be that he has the same constructs. Oh, I'm giving it away. I'm giving it away. And he also comes included the same Sinestro yellow lantern. Honestly, though, while I do love both of these, this is, by the way, a fairly softer plastic. While I like the included in both of these, I do honestly feel like these should have been reserved for the full Sinestro with the yellow outfit, not maybe necessarily green. I would have done away with that instead and gone Green Lantern and green construct, and just kept all the consistency of green here with Sinestro. You can, though, take the lantern. We easily just take the lantern, and it fits into his hand. He only has really one hand to hold the lantern, and it just basically clips in place like that. And then you got Sinestro holding the lantern. The other ring is clearly occupied by the fact he has the yellow ring there still attached onto his finger. Nicely sculpted as well, considering that's a pretty small looking ring. And again, like, this is the thing that's going to start to imbued. Is it imbued? Anyways, enforce him with the forces of the Sinestro ring, and, well, the yellow ring. So we're going to go ahead and take the lantern out of his hand for right now. One other thing the figure comes included with, I did already mention this already, is the fact he comes with these energy constructs. I like these because they look like tiny little claws, like a claw game. They're made, again, of fairly soft plastic, and they seem to be of various sizes. The baby bear, the mama bear, and Papa Claw Bear here. Really nicely sculpted, though. This just simply fits around his arm. You just slither it up as best you can slither it. This hole is really the hole that kind of holds everything in to get together like this. And of course, then you've got a really interesting way of displaying the figure with it. Again, I don't know, doing this maybe in yellow, rushing it maybe too quickly, I would have done this still in green. Of course, the argument can then be made, the fact that he does have still this Sinestro core symbol there on the front. But rather, for me, I'd much rather if this was just a green Sinestro, a green lantern core Sinestro instead. I'm going to move this off to the side. Actually, in fact, we'll kind of move those all out of the way as well. Getting a closer look, though, at Sinestro, I'm really happy, really happy with the head sculpt on this one. As it goes for a classic Sinestro, I think it checks the boxes nicely. It certainly does have that kind of pink skin that he has, the pointed ears, of course, on the side. He's got a bit of a brush cut there. You can see notably is a little bit thinner on the hair on the lower part of his scalp, and much fuller with the widow's peak there on the front. Nicely painted face, though. The thing about it, though, is while you're looking at the rest of the figure's body, the costume is clearly designed around more the yellow lantern than anything else. So really, you wouldn't even be able to pass this off. You still would be able to pass it off because obviously it's green. But like the thing about it, though, is that I really wish that this figure right from day one, right sealed in packaging, was actually a Green Lantern Sinestro, and then we would have had then the benefit of the Yellow Lantern as the next release that we will be looking at in an upcoming review. By already rushing things along, you can already see it has the Sinestro core symbol there in the middle, and how it then pulsates, sort of spirals and roots its way across the front of his chest, till eventually, of course, the entire outfit, what would normally have been green, will then be yellow instead. The yellow, for what it is really nicely done. I like the way it actually veins its way out, and you can kind of see it's a little bit more lighter of a yellow on the inside and kind of blends its way out to the green as it gets further out to the shoulders. The symbol in the middle, cleanly applied. I would imagine that's, yes, sculpted in place, but I would imagine that they probably would have printed the actual image, or in the sense that they sculpted it, but they probably pressed the actual inking on top of it. I don't think that would have been hand-painted. If it was hand-painted, it certainly was very cleanly painted. The rest of the outfit, though, while still having more classic colors of a Green Lantern, I really like the texturing on this. Like, he's got smoother arms, for example, in the gauntlets, and then he has a little bit more of a kind of a basketball texturing there for what he has for the shoulders. I really also like the way they've outlined this area too here, so it doesn't just feel it's a case where they've just painted this part and left the black down below instead. I like the belt, the way they've sculpted that, painted it also nicely as well. It's very close in color, actually, to the outline that they've done for the green here, too. It's a really nice-looking suit. I honestly just, though, wish it was actually a Green Lantern Sinestro. If you wanted to put this guy really on the shelf, I think most people would try to pass this guy off as a Green Lantern Sinestro before, of course, trying to rush this guy along to a Sinestro core. Because, of course, we are going to be getting a Yellow Lantern Sinestro. We will be looking at him in an upcoming review. I just don't think we necessarily rush things along just yet. For the figure's articulation, head sculpt is going to be on a ball joint once again, so it does allow the head to rotate all the way around. Head looks up really quite far and looks down quite low. If you really wanted to have this guy in a flight pose while not having the possession of a flight stand, easily you could just use one from another figure and you could have the figure displayed kind of just in a flight pose like this. That looks really good. The figure has an upper torso ball joint, very generous on that. The figure also has, as well, a ball joint at the base of the abdomen, so that also rotates as well. Arms do come out way past the point of 90 degrees. This arm's a little on the looser side, but a much rather looser arm than a looser leg. The bicep does swivel in the places where biceps normally swivel. The figure does have a double hinge on the elbow, and the hands do rotate all the way around. The legs do split out, once again using ratcheted joints on the insides of the thighs. You can take the legs and move them forward. You can move them back. Now, the plastic that they seem to be now using seems a little bit more denser, so it doesn't pull off as much as what people would have called in the past as a figure diaper. It's a little tighter of a plastic, so it does mean there's a little bit more limitations when it comes to bringing the legs forward and bringing the legs back. Again, you can do a full splits almost with Sinestro. He has a swivel slightly at the top of the thigh. Figure does have a double hinge on the knee. No articulation here for the boot, so it seems to be a continued sculpt from the lower half of the calf. And then the ankle does move back and forth. You can rock it back and forth this way. And you can also bend the feet. One thing I did also want to say, too, is the fairly seamless design of way they've actually pegged the figure's feet. Normally, what you would be introduced to is you get like this part of the calf, then you have like kind of more of a circular peg, and then you have the foot underneath this. They seem to have been really redesigning the designs of these boots here. I mean, to look at this from the side, I mean, obviously the plastic is a little bit different here for the peg that connects the foot to the rest of the calf. But that's definitely a much more seamless looking boot, while still fully successfully pulling off the ankle pivot. So I really like the improvements that they've made here for the figure. All in all, it's a good-looking Sinestro. I mean, I've said already several times, we'll be looking at the Yellow Lantern version of Sinestro also as well. That looks to be the case that they are using the exact same body. I honestly feel, though, I mean, while we don't really have, do we have? We don't. We don't have any other Sinestros to be put on display. I honestly really feel like this would have been a prime time to release this guy as just a Green Lantern Sinestro, and then save the whole transferring into a Yellow Lantern or Sinestro Corps Sinestro. Leave that for the other release, because the other release seems to be the case that they're using the exact same body and just again swapping out all the parts that are currently in green, then swap to yellow. So really having that figure being the same body build as this one, keep this one as the one that's Green Lantern, and save the Yellow Lantern for something released a little bit later. I would imagine now with the mold in their inventory, we may probably see the Sinestro showing up in a future release, possibly and hopefully coming out in a Green Lantern version instead. And while I do really like the way that this one came out, there's definitely lots of improvements you can see with McFarlane, the way they've sculpted their toys as of late. Most notably here, especially on the boots of Sinestro, how seamless that joint of the ankle goes right into the rest of the boot and into the toe. From a distance, it actually kind of looks like it's just one piece that doesn't move at all. So they're definitely listening to fans when it comes to improvements they should be making on the figures. Sinestro does feel like there's improvements made for the figure, like the sculpting on the head sculpt. The paint is really good and rich on this one, and the vibrancy of the greens and the yellows work really well on the figure. The yellow, though, is still something I wish wasn't introduced just yet. We could have waited a little bit longer. Of course, again, we are getting that yellow version of Sinestro Corps Sinestro, mentioned already a couple of times in this review, so we will be looking at him. But I feel like, again, like this guy should have just been reserved right away for Green Lantern Sinestro and left all the other variations for him a little bit later. Still, though, I gotta hope at least that we are going to be getting this guy at some point, just as a regular Sinestro, or even predating him even further than that. His classic color schemes when he first debuted in the comics probably could still use the existing mold that they have right now. The mold is good enough. I don't mind picking this guy up several times. What do you guys think of the figure? Let me know down below in the comment section. Do you also feel like maybe they rushed things too quickly by making this guy turning into a Sinestro Corps Sinestro, when they should have very well just kept this guy as a Green Lantern member right away? Also, I'd like to thank the folks over at McFarlane Toys. They did provide this sample of the brand new McFarlane Collector Edition Sinestro Corps Sinestro. How many times have I said Sinestro in this review? Probably too many times. If you guys enjoyed this video, want to do me a solid and hit it with a like. If you guys are loving the content you guys are seeing and certainly would like to stick around for more, if you haven't already done so, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, and that you're also as well turning on the bell notification. Of course, as always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.